11.2, The Fallen Star. Xal'atath's domain in Kaz Algar and Hallowfall lore speculation. Oh, this sounds like a doozy. Some Xal'atath lore and Hallowfall lore? Yes, I'm all about it. Let's see what Xaxis has to say.
Find the nearest kobold and grab that candle because things are about to get dark.
Come
The
on.
Alone Truth saga continues in part 2.5, unveiling our speculative 11.2 raid and zone prediction. That's right, the finale of the War Within.
Ooh. Oh, we already got the
Last time
finale.
We discussed the roots of Eluna here in Kazalgar and the enduring legacy of Elud's balance in the form of decay, spreading from the roots as a network of fungal mycelium.
That's
Today's
right, the
report,
fungus.
Fate of the Meroldar, Lightforged Temple Ship, and the darkness below Hallowfall. Let's start with what we
Hallowfall
know
and
so
Meroldar.
far about Hallowfall and that mysterious broken strobe light bursting through its
Broken
ceiling.
strobe.
Said to have inhabited the area relatively recently, a kingdom of ancient Arathi humans has built their capital city named Meroldar in the massive cavern of Hallowfall, under the holy light of a giant crystal sun.
Yeah, that crystal sun, I mean, the reveal of it being a ship, which I'm sure he's going to talk about here, was pretty cool. I'm not going to lie. We had speculated it. I talked about it, and yes, maybe I was right for once. But yeah, it's a crass crystal ship, which means it probably does have a Naru inside, and that makes sense why it's jumping between the void and everything.
Previews from BlizzCon show that the crystal has begun to waver between light and void states, plunging Hallowfall into darkness and allowing the terrifying Nerubians of Azkahet to assault the people of Meroldar. But so far, the crystal has returned to its light state, renewing hope in the
Blessed
hearts
be
of
thy
the
light.
Arathi. Now, we've all seen this light and void cycle before, in the example of the Naru, the luminous beings introduced in the Burning Crusade. And it's got us thinking, what's the deal with that crystal, and why is it acting like a Naru? In our tease from last episode, we suggest
Probably because there's one inside. That's the guess.
that this crystal with its holy light and the planting of Eluna here with its spirit of life were different means to a common result, driving away a dreadful darkness below Hallowfall. So why is it jammed in the ceiling like that then? Surely Eluna here wasn't planted underground. And where's that crater that the legend mentioned? Well, the Titans like to cover their messes up, and I propose
True.
that the ceiling in Hallowfall is a secondary layer of earth, a cover over the crater left behind when Amon'Thul destroyed Eluna here.
Yeah, that
After
makes
the
sense.
war was won against the Black Empire.
Okay, yeah, it would make sense that it's a second layer. It is the technically the third zone, right? And in the War Within expansion, we have the top zone. Then we go under. We have what's it called? The new zone that we're getting to test at Alpha this week, which is the Ringing Deeps, right? That's the second zone, so that would technically be the first layer. And then if you go underneath a second layer, that would be the current layer that he's talking about, Hallowfall. So yeah, that makes sense.
The Titans and their keepers reshaped Azeroth's surface, earth, sea, sky, and all. A blank slate to start anew. As seen in the Tomb of Sargeras and Uldir, the earthen crusts of Azeroth seem to be layered, with cavernous gaps visible between them. Now the name Hallowfall likely stems from the hallowed crystal that fell from the sky.
Yeah.
But based on the legend
Makes
of
sense.
Eluna here, and if we agree that those roots are in Kazalgar, the timeline suggests that the Black Empire was conquered sometime after the planting of Eluna here, with the world later entering a new age, and mysterious guardians arriving to protect the roots. The new age being the Ordering of Azeroth, and the guardians potentially being the Earthen of Kazalgar. Now, let's get back to our mysterious 2,000-year-old...
Look, the whole thing about the Earthen too is you got to remember they're Titan creations, right? They've been kind of just doing their duty, right? They were created for a purpose, and that was basically to take care of everything over there. And a lot of them now, since the Sword of Sargeras came into the planet, they've kind of been diverting from their original purpose. They're almost like gaining a consciousness, right? Like the people did before with the Curse of Flesh. They haven't been cursed in any way, although there is some old god influence going on somewhere. I mean, it looks like it with all this stuff going on, and obviously Xal'atath being involved. But some of them now are breaking away from their purpose, which is why they're becoming playable and joining the Alliance and the Horde. So that's an interesting thought as well. Is okay, the sword came in, it changed how these guys are thinking now. What else has it changed? Maybe the crystal is being affected by it as well.
Holy light worshipping Arathi friends, and how their capital city is a clue to what lies inside that crystal sun. Many players have noticed that this anomaly in Hallowfall is reminiscent of interdimensional Naru ships, like
That's
the
right.
Exodar, the Genidar, the Zenidar.
Yeah,
Seeing the pattern?
emphasize that Dar.
And it's very possible that if this is also a ship, then the name Merodar could originally stem from this vessel. See, the Arathi have named their capital Merodar based on a priestess who was instrumental in forming the Church of the Holy Light. But what if her name was divinely inspired through the Merodar in Hallowfall that her followers would eventually find? In Chronicle Volume 2, it is said that the once renowned warrior
Hold on,
turned-
maybe I should let him cook, but we do in fact know the name. We know the name of the crystal. I have to bring it back up for you guys. I have to. Because this is important. Hold on. Fuck it. I'll keep looking. If I find it, I'll show it again. But yeah, it was a little voidling guy. Maybe I could pull up my own YouTube video and find it again.
The holy priestess, Merodar, began experiencing visions of the light. Quote, in her dreams, Merodar saw 5 strange forms, not human, thrumming with holy power. They filled her mind with the wisdom of holiness, protection, justice, retribution, and compassion.
Retribution.
When she put their wordless teachings into practice, power seemed to flow through her. And in Chronicle Volume 1, quote, human priests began having visions and dreams of angelic beings, geometric forms that thrummed with living light. Although they did not know it, the priests had actually communed with the Naru in the great dark beyond. Seems like those 5 strange forms that Merodar dreamed of are probably also the Naru. But which ones exactly?
Which ones?
We don't know. This juicy tidbit was just left hanging in Chronicle Volume 2 and was never touched on again. And we don't find out what happened to the priestess Merodar, perhaps until...
Was it left out intentionally? I don't know. The Titans always... we know that Chronicle was written by the Titans, right? So they could have left it out intentionally so.
Now. Because I think that the war within will finally answer this question with the mysterious appearance of the Arathi kingdom in Hallowfall. Remember how I said these ancient Arathi humans inhabited the crater relatively recently? At BlizzCon, Maria Hamilton said that the Arathi have arrived through somewhat mysterious circumstances, and that it's not the spooky mysterious, it's the other kind. If we combine this tease with the new canonical lore added in WoW's Season of Discovery, we get a pretty good idea of how these dots connect.
So, the Naru and the Merodar 5 guiding lights.
I would wager that the 5 strange forms in Merodar's dreams are in fact 5 radiant Naru dwelling inside the crystal sun in Hallowfall. Not only that, but the crystal itself is a giant Naru-piloted ship like the Exodar, named the Merodar.
That makes sense.
I think that the human priestess Merodar and her Arathi followers found this fallen crystal in Hillsbrad foothills, based on their dreams of a falling star.
Yes, the show. Yes, such a good job showing this. This was in a Season of Discovery, this little pit here with the crystal falling in, and Xal'atath just standing there off to the side. And yeah, for an obvious reason. She knows what's up too. But that's a nice show. And the whole thing about Merodar, she might still be named after the Naru, maybe that's inside of the ship, even if it's not the name of the ship, that could totally be still the name of the Naru, because we know the Zenidar, had Zira in it, like the different. She could still be named. Maybe it's Mira or something like that in there.
Fallen crystal in Hillsbrad foothills.
She looks like my
based
father.
on their dreams of a falling star, and were teleported through time to Xal'atath, arriving at a future date closer to when we meet them. And that's how millennia-old Arathi find themselves out of place in modern-day Hallowfall.
Interesting.
So, if the Merodar is a ship, how and why...
Okay, here it is. I found it. This is it. This is the article where I talk about this pet right here, where it reveals the name of this ship. Yeah, so look at this. Let me unmute this. This little voidling ooze, I believe it's called. Oh, no, it's the umbral amalgam. Yes, yeah. And its description reads, these swarms of void energy cannot persist in the Beladar's light. Interesting. Beladar, where would that come from? Oh, maybe it's the crystal hanging in the damn ceiling in Hallowfall. That's right, Sam. That's right. I think you're right, man. I think it is the crystal hanging in the damn ceiling. Yep. So that's a pet description, and I think it pretty much, yeah, fascinating indeed. But it doesn't mean any of this is wrong. I mean,
and why did it arrive
like I said,
when it did?
We still have to figure out the name of the actual Naru that it's existing inside the ship, too.
Even I can't say for certain yet. Maybe the sun spat it out at us, or maybe it's part of the grand army of the light. But one thing is probably true. The Merodar ended up in ancient Kalimdor, where modern-day Khazalgar is, for a reason. Is it just that the Holy Light and Naru want to claim Azeroth's world soul for their own? Or is there perhaps a more righteous purpose for its journey to Azeroth? And if Elune is indeed the creator of the Naru as suggested back in Legion, how does she play into all of it?
I do have a question about these damn Naru ships. Why are they always crashing? Have they not figured out like a good landing mechanism? It seems like every time one of these ships comes to Azeroth, whether it be in Nagrand, whether it be where the current Draenei capital is, or this one, they're always crashing, man. They never freaking land properly. I don't get what's wrong. They crash every time. Yeah, the Naru, I mean, they're an advanced race. They kind of need to figure out how to land a damn ship.
This is where our...
And the one thing that I have to say, like, oh, here's the Ringing Deeps. Okay, Isle of Dorn. Oh, man, I didn't even pay attention to how good he did on this map here. Because he lays it out perfectly about how the crust works and everything. So yeah, Isle of Dorn, the Ringing Deeps, Hallowfall. Why did the ship crash here? Was it intentional, or was it shot down? Who knows? But again, it seems like every time a Naru ship comes in, it crashes. It's so bad for the environment, yeah.
Our zone prediction for patch 11.2 comes into focus. Let's dive deeper, literally, into the abyss that lurks beneath Hallowfall, which for now we'll coin as the Cobyssian Depths. A realm where the echoes of Xal'atath's corruption reverberates through darkened waters. At BlizzCon, we learned that the Arathi are beset from below in two separate ways. The Nerubians in Azj-Kahet, and the less familiar and new to the lore, Cobyss, terrorizing the kingdom from the underground sea
these are the
in
fish
Hallowfall.
People.
All we know...
I was wondering where these fish armor heads come from. So these guys are called the Cobyss, okay.
So far about the Cobyss is that they seem to be based on deep-sea creatures, like the anglerfish.
True.
We don't know yet why they're attacking the Arathi, or what their goal is, but it's fair to think that we can do some educated guesswork. See, the Nerubians are gathering the black blood of the old gods for Xal'atath's dire machinations, and are probably attacking Hallowfall in an attempt to plunge the Merodar crystal and its Naru inhabitants fully into darkness.
Makes
their
sense.
queen, Ansarek, has struck a bargain with Xal'atath, creating void-ascended Nerubians. So what if the Cobyss have been similarly enlisted by Xal'atath for her dark plans? Or even juicier, what if the source of these nautical nightmares deep beneath the underground sea in Hallowfall is directly related to Xal'atath?
Interesting. Maybe, I mean, look, clearly Xal'atath has the ability to I don't know what you would call it, like super evolve a race. Like she's taken these, you know, your typical bug people and turned them into humanoids, essentially. So she clearly has the ability to advance them. Maybe these guys were just a regular fish species, and now they've advanced into like a humanoid fish species thanks to her. That could certainly be it. Or these guys might not be allied with her at all. They might just be fighting because now we've entered their zone and they're getting pissed off. Who knows? Just pulling aggro. But anyone who's made a deal with Xal'atath has shown over time did not work out well for them. So I don't know what's going to happen with the Nerubians in the end. They've always been kind of, you know, allied with the Void. You know, they do have the old gods essentially to thank for their existence, right? But or at least how they evolved. They have the old gods to thank for that. But how is it going to work out in the end for Xal'atath and her deals that she's made? Because nobody ever wins in those deals except Xal'atath.
Directly related
Crab
to
people.
Xal'atath. As the poster villain for the war within, Xal'atath, Harbinger of the Void, is sure to play a big part in the lead up to midnight. And it would only be fitting that her battle-scarred past comes to light during this expansion. During the days of the Black Empire, Xal'atath is said to have been destroyed by her brothers, the other old gods, as they warred for supremacy over Azeroth.
Yeah, that has been said.
And she was imprisoned in the Black Blade artifact, wielded by shadow priests in Legion. So are there any remains of Xal'atath's body? In Chronicle, every other old god is said to have had massive bastions fortifying their bulks of flesh, a temple complex devoted to each god while they reigned. And
Right.
Xal'atath shouldn't be any different. You see, the war within the
Interesting. Yeah, if this theory holds true, that then Xal'atath would basically be like the old gods or another old god, whichever number you want to attach to her, the first or the sixth, whatever. But she would be an old god. Okay, the one thing that I keep thinking about Xal'atath is I don't necessarily think she is an old god. She calls herself the Harbinger, and to me, she could be somebody who brings about Void Lords. That's how I see her. I don't think old gods necessarily their intent is to bring about Void Lords. I think old gods are just this like infectious disease that's thrown out into space, and it latches onto whatever it can and corrupts the shit out of it, creates the world that it wants. I think the old gods in general, they really just wanted control of Azeroth for themselves. They don't necessarily work for the Void Lords, even though they're created by them. But I feel like Xal'atath does. She works for them. She sets up their coming, and then she brings them about as a harbinger. So that's why, maybe that's why they killed her, if they did in fact kill her. That's always been a thought in my mind, is like, okay, they killed her because they didn't want their Void Overlords to come and basically destroy the planet that they now rule over, right? Because these old gods were essentially kings of the world. They ruled it. And why would you want a Void Lord to show up and destroy that? Then you become the king of nothing. The old gods are COVID. I got it, Sam. Yeah, exactly.
You see, the war within the underground
That's
expansion focused on the heart of
internal politics of the Void. That's how they work in my head.
Azeroth allows Blizzard a second chance at redeeming what was to most players a disappointing finale to Battle for Azeroth.
Yeah, she's
with
the
patch
teacher's pet,
8.3
exactly.
Visions of Azeroth.
Well put.
Ny'alotha's setting as just a raid instead of a fully explorable outdoor zone left many wanting more, and 11.2 might just be the satisfaction we need. Picture this. Deep beneath the crystal-lit sea and below the roots of the first world tree, in a vast deep-sea cavern lies the festering remains of the old god Xal'atath and her shadowed acropolis.
Oh.
Around
That's
her
interesting
decayed
theory.
corpse sits the ruins of her ancient domain, a blackened husk of malice, lined with obsidian labyrinths and towering obelisks.
That would be cool.
All dramatically lit by the bioluminescence of bizarre fungal flora and dark flowing
This
water.
would be a really cool zone to open up at some point in the expansion. A whole bioluminescent zone that looks like Ny'alotha, but it's essentially all, but like he said, bioluminescent. That'd be pretty cool.
Falls. Imagine a place where the alien beauty of Zangar Marsh meets the twisted nightmares of Ny'alotha.
Yeah, that'd be
all
badass.
within an undersea cavern that breathes with the terror of 1,000 unseen horrors. Eerie lights among sunken temples, and a realm where the sea's darkest creatures have been twisted by the lingering influence of the slain old gods.
They could do an underwater zone and just have dynamic swimming, I guess. Like some new mounts. I mean, essentially, really flying is just swimming in the air. Like original flying, the way that Blizzard created it was just created swimming in the air. So now dynamic flying is like dynamic swimming. So maybe they give us dynamic sea mounts and we get to go underwater that way. Who knows? The whole underwater zone has always been, it's never been executed well. It always turns out to be somewhat trashy. But they could create, an underwater zone where we're not necessarily underwater too. I mean, we've seen that before, right? When we went and visited Ajara's palace and everything. That was all like underwater, but it wasn't underwater. We were like essentially in a bubble. Yeah, no water, Sam. Yeah, I know. It's I kind of agree. It's always been done improperly. Underwater zones have never been done well and well.
Xal'atath. There, she has employed the frightening Kobis to her cause, just as she did the Nerubians in a final attempt to empower the Dark Heart with her own remaining essence and unleash its shadow upon the Merodar. Our race to stop her plans leads to the new raid of 11.2, Meroldar, the Fallen Star.
Interesting.
In this chapter, we enter the crystalline temple ship and traverse its radiant corridors, reliving the cosmic grandeur of the Tempest Keep.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. It'd be like a throwback to Burning Crusade. I think this would be fun to do, actually.
As we storm the hallowed halls, the entirety of the raid's surroundings shift between light and
Belladar the
void on
Fallen
a
Star.
dime. The massive sparkling walls and floor beneath our feet change dramatically from golden, hope-inspiring luminance to a violet, fear-inducing shadow.
That's
this
cool.
unique flickering of the Meroldar offers a visual spectacle never before seen in the world of Warcraft. As we make
Yeah.
our way to the
It would
potential
be really
pilots
cool.
of the Nethership, the
It would be like giving us two aesthetics in a single raid. I really like the thought of this.
Darkening Naru. Here, the champions of Azeroth face Xal'atath herself as the final boss, and as the battle progresses, we find our efforts come too late, and the fate of the Meroldar is sealed with the endless
Nice.
hunger of the void.
Nice, we lose. I like this. I like this. We need to lose. We need to take an L. Let's be honest, guys. We do. At some point, we got to take an L, and it's actually been said at BlizzCon by Chris Metzen that we are going to lose, like, heading into midnight. Like, we're going to take our L's in these expansions, as we should. It kind of gets ridiculous when we're just these heroes that continue to defeat these universal forces extremely easily. Why? Because we got a tier set on? Are you serious? Come on. So we should lose. That's fine. And I like the thought of going through a raid, progressing through a raid, and then losing in the end. We've taken minor L's before, you know, okay, we didn't... Like when Azara, right? We killed Azara, but then okay, N'Zoth still got freed. That's an L. But this, I think, is going to be more major. It's going to have like worldwide ramifications. I hope so, at least.
Xal'atath successfully
Just like the Empire
completes
Strikes
the
Back. Yeah,
final
exactly.
prophecy, ushering in the coming of Dementius, the All-Devouring. And the Meroldar itself erupts in a violent explosion, the void-imbued shards bursting out and floating in the skybox of Hallowfall. And finally, the official logo of Midnight is realized. A shattered sun, the shards of the Meroldar in...
What a cool image you put together here, Zaxxas. Holy crap. This legitimately looks like what the crystal shattering above Hallowfall. Damn. This would be a really cool ending to the expansion. I would love this.
in the true cosmic void. As the dust settles in the aftermath of the raid, our heroes stand amidst the ruins of what was once a beacon of hope for the Arathi people, with its scattered fragments now a grim testament to the power...
And then imagine like there's this whole event where like, okay, it's shattered, it's now all void, and then all the Nerubians just come up from the ground and slaughter everything in Hallowfall, like completely destroying it. It'd be insane. What an event.
Of the hungering shadow. But this is not the end. Oh no, far from it. Serving only as prelude to an even greater cosmic collision. As the shards of the Meroldar twinkle like malevolent stars in the skybox of Hallowfall, they signal the beginning of Midnight, the apocalyptic confrontation of shadow and light, a battle for which we know there can be no true winner.
Hey, what if that's what they mean by midnight? You know, like mid, like not necessarily the time, but like half night, right? Like it's a meeting of light and void where they're crashing and in the middle. It's like midnight, night. I don't know. I'm kind of, yeah, maybe. The War Within, we've been playing with that title like over and over, saying, oh, it's a war within Anduin, it's a war within the planet, it's a war within ourselves. Yeah, balanced. Yeah, exactly. You know, mid, balanced, exactly. That's what I'm thinking. Maybe. Who knows?
Battle for which we know there can be no true winner. As Alun's endless cycle torrents ever onward, the answer lies in striking a balance between the two.
There you go, balance.
And who
there you go.
better to embrace this eternal conflict than the mortal champions of Azeroth? Folks, there's one giant piece to the puzzle that we've yet to touch on, so stay tuned. Part 3 of the Alone Truth Saga will unveil another cosmic mystery, a magnificent destiny, and take our first steps into the coming of Midnight. Thank you for tuning in to this pivotal episode of Knowledge Wars, where the truth isn't just out there, it's buried under layers of old god corpses and titan machinery. Remember, folks, you are the resistance to the hour of twilight.
That's a great video, man. Great video, Zax. Oh, He even made the login screen. Look at that. We got the login screen for the Midnight expansion. Great video, Zax. Holy crap. I love this. So the whole talk about the ship and everything else like that, very cool. I like the theory, even though I think we've realized it's called Belladar. Your theory still is really good about the her name. It could still be. We don't know the Naru's name. That's for sure. Like the Zenidar, Zira, and all that stuff. We don't know the Naru's name, so her name might be related to the actual Naru that is inside the ship right now. That could still be it. And the whole thing about the final raid ending with the shattering of the ship and it falls into void, we lose his... Man, what a way to end the expansion. That would be very, very cool. Yeah, just checking in. Check this one out. Cool update on the Belladar. Yeah, I can't get them all right. No, it was a great theory. Totally a great theory. I actually... A lot of times the fan theories are even better than Blizzard's. I kind of wish now that that theory was true, but still, very cool. Yeah, really, really cool. I think ending with the loss would be a great way to send us into Midnight and just up the ante of everything that's going to happen in that expansion. Awesome videos, Axis.